Hey everybody, welcome to the FN Studios. I am John Ramdeen. He is Robin Black. UFC 206 went down on Saturday night at the Air Canada Centre in Toronto. Max Holloway becomes the interim featherweight champion by taking out Anthony Pettis, the former lightweight champion, something nobody else has done in his mixed martial arts career. Man, is this kid good. He's confident, he's smooth, he's aggressive, he can mix things up. He seems to be what the future of mixed martial arts is all about.
You gotta love Max Holloway, man. You got to love Max Holloway. Super skilled. Now, when you listen to him talk, he kind of sounds like a Canadian. You know, like he doesn't show you how smart he really is, because it's his brain, it's his intelligence that is making him so good. He is working incredibly hard to get better at getting better, and that's what he's been doing. He trains with a purpose, a focus about always improving. And within that fight, if you go back and watch it, the fight gets better for him as the fight goes on. So two things are happening. He's learning, he's absorbing information, he's analyzing Pettis, and he's optimizing his systems. He's figuring out what's working, and he's getting better at it. And he's frustrating Pettis. Now, Pettis had an injury to his hand. Pettis dealt with a lot of curveballs coming in here, but he's still Anthony Pettis, and that kid went in there and disassembled him.
Really a spectacular performance for Max Holloway, and you think about what he was able to do against Anthony Pettis, and we saw it at the open workouts. Pettis working with some of those old tie trips, stepping in and pushing him over. Max Holloway ended up doing that to Anthony Pettis a couple of times, and that was one of my favorite sequences right before the end of the fight. After Holloway took him down, the fight went back up. We saw that spinning back kick or a turning side kick or whatever you want to call it, and then the cross, then the jab, and then he went to fake it again, went to fake the turning side kick. Oh man, just some spectacular stuff from Max Holloway. But we have to talk about Anthony Pettis, and the fact is that he was depleted because of the weight cut. He was injured, but the fact that he was still trying his best to go after Max Holloway tells you what type of guy Anthony Pettis still is inside of the cage.
Yeah, later on today, let's talk about Pettis as his own thing. What he's going through, what's going to have to change for him or his path. Well, let's explore that. And yes, I know what you're saying. You should credit Anthony Pettis. We spend a lot of time, a lot of our reaction is often, Big Ben Rothwell, he lost, he needs to retire. And then he'll knock somebody else out. Oh, Rothwell looks great, but that guy needs to retire. You know, people respond so heavily. And yesterday I did a podcast, Ask Robin Black, and one of the questions people were like, you see those flaws in Pettis that were exposed. You don't need one for the other. Pettis can be an amazing athlete and still be beaten by somebody, and you credit Max Holloway. You don't have to denigrate Pettis in doing that. To your point, Pettis was a spectacular fighter that night. Pettis brought everything he could bring. Pettis was his very best self in that moment, and Max Holloway was still able to beat him, and that's why we should celebrate Max Holloway, the interim featherweight champion. I think he's 10 years old, like he's a child, and look how freaking good he is.
I think one of the most impressive parts about his game, besides his confidence, besides that belief, is the fact that he seems to get into his groove very, very early on. And as you pointed out, once he figures out things are working, he just improves on those things, and he attacks consciously and aggressively, and at the same time he's creative about that, and you can feel that his opponents are always drowning once he gets to that stage.
Yeah, in the fight he's amazing, but I didn't get to talk to him as much as I would have liked to, but we were around him the whole time, pick his brain in little moments where we get here, pick his coach's brains a little bit when we get around this weekend, and what you're seeing is, to me, what's amazing is what he's doing between fights. So in the fight itself, he gets better, he has brilliant performances, he improves as the fight goes. But in between fights, he's got an inventory of all his skills, a listed inventory, and he's applying, the proper approach to each one to make the individual skill, each one better. That's why that turning side kick looks better every fight. That's why his timing as he slips back and he throws the right hand, they all look better every fight. It's what he's doing. It's the what is how he looks on fight night. The how is being accomplished in the gym as he improves every single action and every action as how they are put together. He's a brilliant fighter, man. The crazy thing we're picking up about a lot of these guys right now is the idea of how good they're going to get. A lot of these young guys understand that they're forever a work in progress. Max Holloway isn't this thing now, that's what it is. Max Holloway in 2 years is going to be even scarier, and Max Holloway in 8 years is going to be terrifying.
When you look at the relationship between an athlete and a coach, I know it's all individual. Martial arts is a personal journey. But are we seeing that the more successful fighters, they have their hands in their own development? Because we know a lot of fighters, Demetrius Johnson, for example, I just rely on my coaches. I don't worry about those things when it comes to strategy or what areas I need to improve. I just trust in the master, Matt Hume, and he makes me the athlete that I want to be. It seems like Conor McGregor likes to be involved in the strategy and what we're doing to build me to be a better fighter. And you talk to Max Holloway's coach, and he says Max is very intelligent, and he's a part of that. Is it important for a fighter and a coach to have that relationship, to recognize their potential?
I think without question, and you put out a bunch of good examples, and there are differences between them. Matt Hume is a brilliant martial arts mind that is probably 5 years ahead of the next smartest, and there may be one or two others with him up at that level, but he understands the martial arts in a way that most don't, and he understands how to develop that athlete. Trial and error through a lifetime, now he has the perfect vessel, and the perfect connection for that relationship is for Demetrius to shut his brain off and just execute with Matt's eyes and Matt's brain, and that's perfect. For some of these newer ones, so Coach Kavanaugh and Conor, Max and his team, some of them are coming up with the coach. The great athlete raises the level of the coach, which raises the level of the great athlete, which demands that the coach keep learning and keep pushing. When you are maxed out to your knowledge, and Conor has absorbed all of your knowledge, you must strive. He's busy training, you're busy studying and researching the next, as Dwayne Ludwig puts it, peeling back the next few layers. What's the next layer? What's the next layer? So the great athlete pushes the coach to the maximum of his ability, and then the coach has to raise that, and that raises the athlete.
Incredible what we've seen from Max Holloway. He now wants a crack at the actual UFC 145-pound championship. And Jose Aldo, he wants it to go down in Brooklyn, New York.